Mountain in south central Colorado where we had a light frost last night. Got down to 28 degrees and killed my squash and zucchini plants. I'm a little bit upset, but they're babies, so we can recover from that. There's worse things in life. The other plants did really well. So just lost some squash and zucchini, and I only had 3 of each. So just 6 little plants, and I feel bad for them. Anyway, such is life. Hello, Miss Peggy from Norman, Oklahoma. You guys in Oklahoma and Iowa and North Texas and even Arkansas, especially today, stay in safe weather. I know that there was a significant tornado yesterday that hit Greenfield, I think, Iowa, and that is not far from Winterset, where the Iowa Quilt Museum is. And so my heart goes out to everybody. I hope you're all doing well. We have the coolest, fun, unique interview. One of the most unique interviews I've ever been able to do to share with you today. I'm really looking forward to that. So just going to let you guys pop in while we're having a little chat here. Just going ahead and tell you that here on the mountain, we have been dealing with gardening because the weather's been really honestly great. And every single year, the end of April, we have these beautiful days, and then here comes winter. And then we have beautiful days, and we think, oh, there's not going to be any more cold. And here comes winter again. It's really quite different from living up here than even those in town. In town, for my area, there's 3 towns, Gardner, Walsenburg, and Levita. They're at about 7,000 feet, and I'm almost 9,000 feet. So that 2,000 foot elevation makes a huge difference. So people down in the lower elevations don't struggle quite as bad as we do, but that's just the price you have to pay for living in paradise, right? Anyway, we've got our petunias in the ground. We've got some marigolds in the ground. We've got some moss rose in the ground. And then I have coral bells and hostas. Those are kind of my 2 go-tos here because they actually do survive the winter and come up. And I know a lot of people say, man, if I plant hostas, I just planted lettuce for deer to come. And I don't know why the deer don't come here. They're everywhere. We watch them, and the elk are over there, and we watch them, but they just don't come into the yard. I do not know why. Maybe it's because we're not on their path, on their travel path, and they stick to that. But nonetheless, that's kind of what we deal with up here on the mountain, and it will get beautiful. I plant nasturtiums, you guys, because they're nice big seeds, so they're easy to poke in the ground, and they tend to come up here and just do really well. So those are the few things that I get. And then, of course, many of you may know that last year I kind of put out hey, if you're dividing any of your iris and you need someplace to send them, I'll take them. And I had, oh my gosh, maybe 100 different sets of iris that came, and I put those in the ground late in the summer, and most of those are up and doing really well. So I'm going to have a big surprise this year if any of those bloom as to what colors they are, because I won't remember what colors they were when I stuck them in the ground. So a little question says dogs. Well, the dogs are over in the studio. Hugo is in the studio working on his Rhapsody quilt this morning, and I'm here chatting with you. So we put Barley and Rosie over in the studio with him. Dogs are good at keeping deer at bay. Yeah, so it could be. There's the thing of it. So the thing about our dogs, they're inside dogs, very much inside dogs, and even when we take them out, even though there's nothing around, we take them out on a leash. Primarily because in the event there's a deer or a rabbit or something, I don't want them to go bolting. I don't have the energy to go chase them. So we take them on little walks around the house, and they stay pretty much on a leash. And Rosie is notorious for eating grass. And she almost died one time from eating so much grass. And I don't know for real, but she threw up a bale of hay. To be honest, she had eaten so much grass. So I try to keep them away from the grass, and they stay with us. But their scent is all around the house. And so when we do cleanup, we toss everything off around the perimeters into the trees. So I think that really may be part of the reason why the deer do not come around the house. Anyway, Charlene's asking if I want more iris, and I'm going to tell everybody, most of you may have caught the drift that Hugo and I are trying to sell the house on the mountain. We've bought some land in southern Missouri, so eventually I will hopefully move there and build a new house. I hope I can build a new house. Anyway, that's the plan. But I don't want to. I don't want to have to plant more stuff here. So I'm only kind of tending to what we have here already. And honestly, if the new buyer ends up being a part-time vacation, hunter, sportsman type person, I may just ask, can I please take the or at least most of the iris with me, because they do need tending to, and there are some natural wild plants that can be around this house. But if nobody's going to be here to water and take care of these plants, I would just as soon put them in some boxes and take them with me to Missouri. I hope that makes sense. Carol, it's good to see you too. We had a great time in Paducah. You guys, thank you for saying your comments and your hellos. It really means a lot. I'm looking at as many as I can, and I obviously can't tell you about, can't respond to all of them. But I want to tell you, speaking of Paducah, fun story that happened, and that is, well, it wasn't so fun, but I'll still tell you anyway. My concert is on Friday night, and this was, I don't know, the 19th year or something like that I've done a concert there in Paducah. And it's really exciting in a beautiful theater. It used to be even in a bigger theater, but now I'm in a junior college theater. It's a really nice theater. And Hugo, of course, he helps, and he's there during the day on sound checks and rehearsals and stuff like that. Well, that was Friday night, and I was done Sunday morning, and we were leaving quite early on Saturday to go see family in Tennessee. And when we got the truck packed and Hugo was about to hop in the driver's seat, he couldn't find his driver's license. So his driver's license was missing. Long story short, we looked, we tore the truck apart. We went through everything. I ended up having to do all the driving, drove all the way home, and then we went through all the suitcase and baggage, and we still couldn't find it. Of course, we contacted the theater and the hotel because those are the only two places that wallet could be. Neither one of them could find it. But the short story is, Sunday, we got a text from the guy at the theater with a picture of Hugo's wallet. Everything was in it, the money, the credit cards. But here's what was really crazy. His green card was in it. And that is like lifeblood for him to travel outside the United States. And we're going to Ireland in September. Hey, by the way, if you'd like to go, we've got 2 seats on the bus, and you can reach out to me for that. You can reach out to me through, I'll just tell you, rickytimsinc@gmail.com. You can connect with me there if you're interested. But anyway, here's the story. There was a dance recital on Sunday, and a little 5-year-old boy was watching his sister in the dance recital. He was squirming in the seat on the front row. He was crawling under the seats and all of this. And he said, "Hey, Mom, what's this?" And because Hugo's wallet had a magnet in it, it had not fallen to the floor. It had fallen in the crack. And then the magnet was holding it in place next to that seat. So it could have been 10 years that we didn't get the wallet. We had already applied for a new green card, which could take over a year. We did his new driver's license. I mean, all of that. But boy, did we have a celebration, because now we don't have to go through the hassle of getting that green card. All right, so Paducah. While I was there, I did an interview with Bonnie Browning. If you missed that, that was last Wednesday. That's living on both Facebook, both Facebook and on YouTube. And today, I'm going to get to share with you the interview that I did with Dr. Karen Nyberg, who is an astronaut quilter. I tell you, this was really, really a great experience. If you don't have time to watch all of this right now, then I'm going to encourage you to just come back either to your YouTube or your Facebook, and find this and watch this interview. It was just wonderful to see this amazing, inspirational, astronaut, woman astronaut, and also her passion for art and quilting. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the button and let you see this interview, and I will be back to chat with you after. Feel free to leave any comments that you like along the way. If something she says inspires you, just pop that comment. We love to see what you think. This is Dr. Karen Nyberg. We are here today with Karen Nyberg, Dr. Karen Nyberg, right? Let's put that in there. The astronaut who quilted in space. That's really kind of what the quilters are going to know you for, right?
I imagine so.
I'm really looking forward to getting to know you a little bit and some questions that people have had on their minds. But let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
You weren't always an astronaut.
No.
All right. So let's go back to childhood and what were your dreams and hopes and what was your life at that time?
Well, I grew up in a tiny town in Minnesota, like population less than 100, a family with 6 kids, and my mom used to sew and stuff. She stayed home with us until I was probably junior high, and she sewed all the time, and I was apparently bugging her constantly to use the sewing machine, show me how to do it.
Okay, you liked it.
I did. So she taught me to sew when I was really little. I also used to like to draw and just create things, just make things. I was constantly making my own paper dolls and all of that. And then when I was about 8 or so years old, I started saying I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. And it coincides about the time that NASA selected the first class of astronauts that had females and minorities. That was January of 1978. Wow. And I would have just turned 8 years old.
Wow.
So I started saying that, and then that became like my laser focus
That's
in life,
great, though.
is that I want to be an astronaut.
And how was it received? I mean, just that, a kid's dream. Was it like, you can, or, she's just saying?
It was kind of the kid's dream thing. My oldest sister now admits that she thought it was cute that I said that, But I kept saying it. I mean, all the way through junior high, high school, and my friends called me the rocket scientist.
That's cool.
And I was interested in STEM, math and science and all that, and I was good at it. I got very good grades.
Okay, I was going to say you had to be like straight A.
So I don't think it was never met with, oh, you can't do that. It was, okay, she's the one that wants to be an astronaut. And it just kind of directed all the decisions I made then going on through college.
Right. So I assume by the time high school's rolled around, you've still got that track in your brain and you just know what you're going to study in college just to keep you going that direction. Is that?
Pretty much. I didn't really know what engineering was until I was like a junior or senior in high school. Okay. And I did a report on it. One of my friends was like, well, maybe we had to do a career report. And I'm like, well, I want to be an astronaut. But he's like, how about aerospace engineering? And I looked it up. I had never heard of it. And so I kind of learned, because my parents had not gone to college. Of the family of 6, only my oldest sister had gone to college. So we were the first in our, the first generation to go to school. And so we just didn't really know a lot about it.
I understand
and so I just learned what engineering was, and then...
So, all right, so with engineering, aerospace engineering and all that, did somebody then guide you or direct you to a university that targeted in that direction? I mean...
Well, the interesting thing, so my oldest sister, the one that went to the University of North Dakota.
Okay.
And when we were talking about where I could go, she said, well, they started the space studies program at UND. And they had just started it in the early 80s. And so my mom took me to Grand Forks, North Dakota, and we looked at the school, and we met the director of women in engineering and talked to her, and toured the campus and looked at the engineering department. And the funny thing is, I didn't really do much in the space studies program when it was said and done. I took a couple classes, but they always interfered with my engineering. So.
Okay, so in my world, I talk about how dots get connected. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had a little before conversation about me and my granny and the quilting sewing machine, and there's a lot of dots that got connected that pulled me to kind of where I am today. And I have a feeling there's still some dots that got you kind of, because, I don't know, who do you know, or what one event might have got you introduced to this person that led you to there? What were some of the pivotal things that happened that then put you kind of in the limelight, getting you there?
Well, when I was at UND getting my undergraduate degree, I remember seeing a poster on the wall, and it said there's a presentation by a co-op student who had worked at the Johnson Space Center. And the cooperative education program is where you can go work for a semester as an engineer, and then you come back to school. And I was like, You mean you can work at JSC, the home of human spaceflight, as a student? You know, so I went to his presentation and I talked to him afterwards, and then I hightailed it to the co-op office, and I'm like, I want to apply. And so you fill out the application, and the idea is you're supposed to list the top 3 companies you'd want to work for. Do you want to go work for 3M? Do you want to go? And I just listed the Johnson Space Center, and I didn't list any others. I had no 2 or 3, and I got the job.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And so at the age of about 20, I went from Grand Forks, North Dakota, down to, it was 1991.
Okay.
And went down to Houston.
Yeah.
You know, small town girl going to
telling
Houston. And worked at NASA. And so then once I was in the co-op program, then I kept doing that through my undergraduate degree, through my graduate, and then they hired me as an engineer when I finished my doctorate.
Okay.
And so that put me at NASA and meeting people there.
Okay.
And then when the application process came out for the class of 2000 of astronauts, I had just finished my doctorate and I applied.
How many people are in the class of 2000? I mean, it can't be a huge
There
number.
were 17 of us.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just now your funnel is coming right here. And now are you starting to feel at this point this is gonna be real? Are you even there yet?
Well, I started to get, well, once I was actually interviewing for that. So, I mean, even when I was in graduate school, because becoming an astronaut is not only do you have to check the boxes of your degrees and that sort of thing, but you have to be a little lucky too, because they only select classes every few years. And so when they select small classes, and you have to be medically qualified.
Right.
And
Well, I was talking to my husband Hugo, and it was like you have to have some mental competence as well. You have to be able to be, strong under fire and handling
Right.
situations.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot more than just the rocket science brain that has to go into that.
Absolutely. And we, I learned to fly. I got a private pilot's license right when I finished my doctorate degree, when I could afford it finally. And I scuba dive. And so most astronauts you'll find do those types of activities.
Sure.
Where you do have to think under pressure, and you can't solo in a plane if you are not capable of, thinking quickly.
Right.
And same with scuba diving, and I liked hiking and backpacking and being out in wilderness, and so a lot of that stuff, it's needed.
So before we get you into space, I want to know what your quilting is doing at this time. Have you continued to sew? Have you had hobbies? I mean, because you're very focused on where you're headed, but have you allowed any of that creativity to continue through your life?
Yeah, I kept the hobby of sewing and art the whole way, and it was just that, a hobby. Although as an undergraduate student I did take a drawing class and an oil painting class, and then as a graduate student I took a community ed figure drawing class, so I was constantly kind of doing that. I bought my first sewing machine probably when I was in graduate school, and usually what I would do is make gifts for people.
Of course.
And so usually about Thanksgiving, because we used to draw names in my family, so you didn't have to buy it, because we had a big family.
Okay.
So rather than buying a gift for everybody, we draw names and you buy one gift. Well, I would draw the name and then find out what their favorite color was and what they liked, and then I would make something for them.
That's
whether either a
awesome.
quilt or a blanket or a pillow or something. And then I started, once I was dating my husband, and then it was like, now I make things for him,
Right.
But yeah, it stayed as a hobby, that I didn't spend a lot of time through those years, but I did keep doing it.
Sure. And you did mention your husband, who is, by the way, also
An astronaut, yes.
That's just amazing. So, all right. So now let's get you into space.
Okay.
And everybody wants to know the experience. What does it feel like? Is it like, is your heart going crazy, or are you just excited about it? And just all of that. I guess a little preparation, but just the experience itself.
Yeah, so my first flight was on Space Shuttle Discovery,
2008?
2008.
Okay.
And obviously very exciting. And a lot of people asked, are you nervous the day of? We're so prepared. I mean, we go through simulation after simulation and every malfunction that can possibly happen, and the training is pretty intense. And so the day of, it's more like an anxious Christmas, type of excitement.
You're ready for it.
And yeah, I'll never, when drove in the Astro van from crew quarters to the launch pad. And every time we'd been on the launch pad before, it was always lots of workers and people. And this time it was just a few suit techs there to help us get in the shuttle. And the shuttle was alive. I mean, it's just, anyway, so you look up at it, and of course that thing's gigantic. You ride the elevator and then get in, and the wait, the 2.5, 3 hours on your back. And then when the countdown started, it's like, we're going,
Here we go.
And then, I mean, it's just an incredible ride, just so powerful, and just giddy. We're doing this, and the G's build, but then once you're in space, 8.5 minutes later, it's like there's no gravity, or you're not feeling the gravity, I should say, and it's just amazing.
That's
amazing
wonderful.
Feelings.
So you didn't get to go once; you went twice.
I
And the
did.
second time, was it the second time you were on the space station for
5.5 months. Yeah.
Right.
It was, so the second time the space shuttle program had ended. The space shuttles retired because after the Columbia accident, they decided to stop flying the space shuttles once we finished building the International Space Station. And so I've launched on a Russian Soyuz the second time.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of training in Russia. We launched out of Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, where Yuri Gagarin launched, the same launch pad as Yuri Gagarin, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
There are a lot of neat traditions there with all of that. And then I lived on the space station for 5.5 months.
That's great. All right, now let's talk about quilting in space.
Okay.
Because there has to be like, oh, I think I could do this, or would it be novel, or was it just interesting, or just what inspired that whole thing to come about?
Well, since it's a long mission, my shuttle flight was 14 days.
Right.
So in the shuttle days, the missions were very focused. They were very choreographed. There wasn't time to do hobbies or anything like that. But when you're living there for 6 months, you have sometimes evenings, weekends. You need downtime. You can't work constantly for 6 months, and so a lot of people would bring hobbies. There's a keyboard up there.
Oh, nice.
People watch movies up there. Different things. And I was like, well, what's my hobby? What would I like to do? So I'm like, I want to bring something to sew. So I had to get stuff ready to launch on a cargo vehicle like a couple months prior to my launch. A lot of times our stuff would fly separately from us. And so I ran to the fabric store, and I had no plan. I'm like, I just want to have fabric with me. And so I bought some fat quarters, red, white, and blue.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And a few needles, and packed them up.
No sewing machine.
No sewing machine.
So this is handwork.
This is handwork.
So you know how to cut and sew by hand.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's...
Well, I do. I'm not very good at it.
You managed.
But I managed. So anyway, so I had no plan, and I had talked to some folks on the NASA team before I left, saying, I would like to do something quilting related, a project if there's, and then they, independent of me, went and talked around and talked to Quilts Inc. and
oh, that's great.
And
well, that's all in Houston, so that was an easy
and it worked.
fit.
Yeah, and then they came up with this Astronomical Quilts block challenge, and then at the same time, I get to space and open up this package that I forgot that I'd even purchased of this fabric, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll start making something. And I literally had 5 needles in a magnetic case, 3 fat quarters, and a spool of thread. And so I just started cutting pieces, and you can tell when you look at the block. It
is fabulous. So I want to tell everybody. So we're really sitting here and amongst these blocks. And these blocks came from all over the world.
So
all
amazing.
over the world. They're all star blocks. And Karen did her block, which is in the center of this quilt. And first of all, I'm the caveman quilter. I love wonky. I love whimsical. I absolutely love it, and I'm glad that it is front and center. And I know you're making everybody smile right now because quilters have a tendency to be so perfect all the time, and we don't have to be, because that is a happy block.
Tend to be perfect and critical of your own work.
Of course. So you were hand piecing that, and I mean, I know you sent the signal down. We saw pictures. This is the picture of you there with the block, holding it up with your hair flying everywhere. Is just one of the most iconic pictures there is for quilters. So it's wonderful. I want to let you all know that we're at the National Quilt Museum with this interview, and Karen has this fabulous exhibit, and I have seen all of it. Your quilts are fabulous.
Thank you.
So were most of these then made after that? Have you gotten more involved in quilting, or some of them earlier?
Everything on display here was made after after the astronomical quilts block challenge, and after my last mission, and I retired from NASA in 2020, and so most of them are since then.
Okay.
Actually, where I am actually starting to just spend a lot more time on that passion we talked about when I was really little.
I know.
The sewing and the drawing and all of that.
Before meeting you today, which is an honor, I'm just enjoying talking to you so much. But before today, I thought, I wonder what you do when you're no longer an astronaut. I mean, how do you keep your finger in the pie, or what do you do with life after? How do you top that, right?
That's exactly it. And a lot of people struggle with that, I think. And I miss it. And how do you top it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm excited that I have the opportunity to go build on another dream I had when I was little. I had two very strong passions: space and art.
That's great.
And so I feel very lucky now I've had some really amazing experiences, obviously, that not very many people get to have.
Yeah.
And now I just go full circle and go back to what I loved when I was
see misty
little.
eyes right here. Are you emotional about that?
Well, it's nice, It's nice to be
nice.
able to have dreams come true, and then have a couple dreams come true.
You know what? So many people often don't get their dreams to come true. But my advice would be, if you got a dream, you keep pushing.
Oh,
you dream it. You don't
absolutely,
stop it.
absolutely.
You keep going, because it will happen if you really work hard at it. I really believe
Yeah,
that.
I do too. And becoming an astronaut, I was very focused on that dream, and I had to get out of my comfort zone a lot of times in order to make that dream come true, because I'm generally a pretty shy, introverted person, and you definitely have to get over that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's definitely was out of my comfort zone for a long time, and moving away from a small town, out of my comfort zone. There's a lot of things that I had to do, but I was so laser focused on that dream that I was willing to do it.
That's great. So what lies ahead?
Oh gosh, well, my son is 14,
Oh.
so I'm busy with him. There's a lot. He's great, and he just has a lot going on. And that's one of the reasons I retired from NASA and started doing this. I can do this stuff from home, and I wanted to be there with him. So yeah, I hopefully continue getting fabric lines. I've got my second line of fabric is out right now. I would like to continue doing that, and just designing quilts, and then continuing doing art pieces. I used to draw portraits a lot when I was little with pencil and charcoal, and so I'm really liking doing the portraits, and I would love to do
That's
more.
wonderful. Do you lecture? Do you travel?
I
And
do.
I don't just mean quilting, but in just general. I mean, universities and so forth. Are you invited to do things like that, to share your experience?
Absolutely, and I still try to keep a toe in the space world. I'm on a couple advisory boards and that sort of thing with some space companies, and so I keep my toe in that. I mean, that was big part of my life. So, but yeah, I'll go out and give lectures and talks. And
All right, so what's the most ordinary thing about you that people would go, well, she's just like me? That's a hard one.
I would say everything. I mean, to be honest, if you talk to my family, I grew up in this tiny town in Minnesota. I live just like everybody else.
Set the alarm in the morning.
Set the alarm in the morning. I have
You cook?
I do.
Who cooks?
I do.
Yeah, okay. You do.
But
not your
usually
passion.
when you say you cook, do you cook? It's like, are you good at cooking?
No. I just thought, who's making the food?
I make the food.
Yeah?
So yeah, I go to the grocery store. I play on the meals, which I don't like.
Yeah, and where's home these days?
Right now we're in Park City, Utah.
Oh, okay. That's a beautiful
Oh,
part
I
of the
love it
country.
so much.
Yeah.
We lived in Houston for many years, as you can imagine. That's where the Johnson Space Center is. And then once my husband retired from NASA, we're like, let's go to the mountains.
That's wonderful. I want to draw the attention to the quilt that's been behind you, because people saying that is from your fabric line.
It is.
Right? And you have another fabric line that's currently out?
Yes.
And I hope that you just keep doing that. But who's the company?
Robert Kaufman.
Okay. So you can find this
Yep.
Karen's fabric and take a piece of that into your world.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of
I mean, I'm
course.
so happy to meet you. I won't say I was nervous to meet you, but I just I know how to even talk to her, because I don't, I'm all creative music and just a whole nother world, but I'm so happy that you got to live your dream.
Thank you.
And that you're a role model for so many people. I know good and well there are especially young little girls out there that are going, I can do this, Mama.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
That's one of the main the most beautiful things about the career I've had is being able to show people and show the little girls and get little girls and little boys inspired to,
That's wonderful.
to reach their goals. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been great.
it has been.
Well, I was like a kid in a candy store. I mean, Karen was, as you can tell, just as delightful, down to earth. Just, it was just really wonderful. I've still got a little bit of goosebumps from getting to have that experience, just talking to her. And there's many times when, I see people like Karen, and I want you guys to find the parallel in your world to someone like that. If there are people that you look up to in this world, you don't have to be them. You don't even have to follow in their footsteps, but you can find their character, their motivation. You can find their tenacity. You can find their ability to overcome obstacles. I mean, just all of those kinds of things can be inspiration to all of us, and no matter what we do or what we're pursuing in life. And I feel that that's kind of been my track as well. Just push forward, go forward, overcome adversity, and strive for perfection, and all of those things. Some things will never perfection. I'm never going to be perfect, but still, there's nothing wrong with striving and attempting to do the very best that you can. So I'm really, really, really excited about that opportunity. I hope that was inspirational to all of you. And I saw many comments come in. One of them was, how long is Karen's exhibit up at the National Quilt Museum? Because some of you can still get there. Some of you, that's not such a long drive. And, even if you fly into Nashville, it's only 2 hours away. So you could take a wonderful little trip into the Midwest and just spend a few days. Paducah is delightful, the land between the lakes, but that exhibit runs through July 31st. I want to double check that. I had that on my phone, but yes, July 30th. So it's through July 30th. So you want to get there before that deadline hits, because that will certainly be great. You know what? It's just been so fun. I want to share with you a few things that are coming up and talk to you about the episodes that are coming. Again, if you missed the Bonnie Browning interview that I did, Bonnie has retired now from 30 years with AQS, and that interview was last week if you'd like to go and watch that. But I also want to share with you some other things that are coming up here on the Quilt Show. So Dee's Saturday Sampler, many of you know that Dee does weekend projects with us, and she is doing her Easy Improv class. And that class is certainly one that I feel you might really enjoy taking a part of. The remaining classes are live on Facebook as well. They're at 10 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time. There's only 2 more weeks that are coming up with that, but that project is definitely available for you. And then also, it's relaxed. It's perfect for people who are nervous about improv quilting. Also, it is in week 9, so it's wrapping up, but that means that you can go into the Learn tab on thequiltshow.com, thequiltshow.com, you guys, that's where everything is housed. Go to the Learn tab, and you can now just start watching all of those episodes, so you don't have to wait week after week after week, because it's already there. So also, if there are some kits, and you can find those at thequiltshow.com, and go to the online store, and you can do that. If you watch the recorded classes and have any questions, then you can bring those questions up during the live sessions. And again, those are on Saturday. So there's just a couple of more weeks left with Dee's class. And then, as most of you know, in the United States, Monday is Memorial Day. And I want to talk a little bit about Operation Kid Comfort. It is an organization that helps military children connect with their active duty parent. And Alex is going to be sharing this story on Monday. So today's Wednesday. On Memorial Day Monday, you can catch up with Alex on live on Facebook and on YouTube. And Alex is going to interview a mom whose husband has been deployed many times, and while the family is staying behind. So she'll talk about this Kids Comfort project with you And she's still going to also be doing some teaching because there's some wonderful things that she's been sharing. Some of you are following along. So she's calling it a double header. So you don't want to miss that coming up on Monday. And you guys, as always, please remember that all of this that we do is trying to get back to, there I am. All of this that we do is recorded live, but then it lives on Facebook, on YouTube, so you can always watch later. I mean, Memorial Day may be a crazy Monday for you, but such a wonderful topic to watch and remember. So if you can't watch live, definitely come back to our Facebook site or YouTube channel and watch those coming up. All right, you guys, it's been great chatting with you today. I know that many of you are pushing forward to a holiday weekend. I hope that your travels will be safe, that you'll have great time with families, make memories, and of course, never forget to pay tribute, love, and respect to those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and served our country. So God bless you all, and I will look forward to seeing you next week when I will be talking with Cindy McChesney about her new book. So I'll see you next Wednesday as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.